All right, we are back, and the NHL Trade Deadline has come and gone, and right before the buzzer, the biggest deal of the day that we had all been waiting for happened. Nazem Kadri was reacquired by the Colorado Avalanche. So let's talk about that trade. Let's talk about what this means for the Avalanche. Let's talk about what the Flames get in return, and just how stacked this Avalanche team is, and just why they're the team to beat in the Western Conference, and that they won the Central Division arms race. So let's talk about that and a little bit more. Let's get into it. But before we get started with the rest of the video, however, I would like to remind you guys to leave a like and subscribe if you're new around here. Leaving likes on these videos really helps them perform better on the YouTube algorithm, helps this channel grow. So if you want to see this channel grow, make sure to like and subscribe so you do not miss another video. So let's look at what the trade is. This is the full trade according to Elliot Friedman. Nazem Kadri going to the Colorado Avalanche with $1.4 million retained on his salary. So that will be a $5.6 million cap hit for Kadri, along with a 4th round pick in 2027 in exchange for Victor Olofsson, Maximilian Caron, a 2028 first-round pick. There's a condition on it, though, that being if Colorado's 2027 first goes to Toronto, Calgary acquires the 2028 first-round pick, which is top 10 protected, slides to 2029. If the 2027 first-round pick is top 10, the 2028 first slides to Toronto, then Calgary receives Colorado's 2029 first-round pick unconditionally. There's a lot of stuff there. And a 2nd-round pick in 2027, also conditional, much easier though. Better of Colorado or Minnesota's 2nd-round pick that year. So let's talk about the big fish in this deal, that being Nazem Kadri. He is in year 4 of a 7-year deal that pays him $7 million against the cap. However, since he's got more time left on that contract and the Flames are retaining $1.4 million of that cap hit, that means he is only carrying a $5.6 million cap hit for the Colorado Avalanche until 2029, where he becomes a UFA at 38 years old. That is just an insane cap hit for Nazem Kadri. I think we could all agree that he cashed in on that 7-year, $7 million per contract with the Calgary Flames, because he's coming off of at the time, a point-per-game season with the Avalanche, a Stanley Cup winning season with Colorado. He cashes in. I don't really know if people would say that he was worth that $7 million, especially in the climate that it was signed in. However, what benefit is he bringing to Calgary when they're going into a rebuild and he's 35 at this point in time? He wants to win. He wants to go win more Stanley Cups, and Calgary was not going to give him that opportunity to do so. So what do? They trade him back to the Colorado Avalanche, the team they won the Cup with, at a reduced cap hit. So now, with the cap going up, and again, Kadri is getting older throughout the rest of this deal, so who knows if the production is going to be able to keep up, but a $5.6 million 2nd-line center or top 6 forward for the next, I would say, year or two for Colorado is an absolute steal in this free agent market, or this market for the NHL with money just going up and contracts inflating. It's unbelievable. This is a guy who on a bad Calgary Flames team has 41 points in 61 games, and in a top 6 where he's going to play with other talented players. My guess is with Nelson and Nichushkin on his wings, he's going to put up more points, and even then, he may be on the top power play with McKinnon and Makar and whoever else. This guy's going to put up points again. It may not be point per game, but he's going to be in that 60 to 70 point range for the next couple of years on a Stanley Cup contending Avalanche team. This is insane. And if you just want to see a little bit more analytical proof in terms of how good Nazem Kadri still is, let's look at JFresh's card for him. Nazem Kadri, acquired by Colorado, is a top 6 center who's very active and ambitious with the puck, uses the perimeter both as a shooter and playmaker, never a quick skater, and has weakened defensively, but still a genius at drawing penalties. And you can see his projected WAR percentage, 80%, offense in the 81st percentile, penalties in the 99th percentile. The defense doesn't look fantastic, but man, he is still effective as a top 6 center at 35 years old, and I don't see a world where he's not going to be like that for a contending Colorado Avalanche team. And the 4th round pick, yada yada, whatever. Who cares about that? Nazem Kadri is the big fish here for Colorado, and in my opinion, even though what I think they gave up may be a little steep, if you win a cup, all of this is worth it, and I think this is a slam dunk. It's a home run for the Avalanche in this deal. Now, let's talk about what the Flames get in this deal, which I think is actually a pretty solid return for a 35-year-old Nazem Kadri. And I think them retaining some salary definitely had something to do with them getting a better deal or better package for Kadri, but I still think it's a great package for them. So they end up getting Victor Olofsson. So we're going to talk about him first. This year for Colorado, he's put up 25 points in 60 games, 11 goals, 14 assists in bottom 6 minutes for the most part. And this guy is just a power play specialist. That's what he's been his entire career. And that's what he continues to do. He puts up goals on the power play, puts up 2 this year, which is not as much as I expected, but 7 power play points of those 25. He's most effective on the man advantage, and I really think just in this trade, he's more of a body. He's more of a cap kind of offset. He's making $1.75 million this year. He's a UFA at the end of it. So just in case you wanted to see Victor Olofsson's JFresh card, it actually has some pretty interesting information that I did not know about. Victor Olofsson, acquired by Calgary, is a distance shooter who appears against all odds to have added some defensive proficiency to his game. That'd be an inspiring development since he used to be basically useless aside from his shot, which is what I knew. I did not know that he was this good defensively this year. So maybe he brings something to the Flames that we didn't know previously. Maybe he brings some of that defensive prowess to Calgary, and hopefully that lands him a contract in July, whether it be with the Flames or with another team in free agency. I doubt he sticks around with Calgary after this season, but you know, he's going to be a body. He's going to be someone that they can at least play night in and night out. So that's a positive for Calgary. And for the prospect that they get, Maximilian Caron, most people don't really know who this guy is. He's a 5th round pick back in 2024 by the Colorado Avalanche. And he's actually doing very, very well in the WHL this year. In 31 games, he's put up 41 points for the Brandon Wheat Kings as a 19-year-old, projected to finish with 52 points on the year. Also, for the World Juniors, he played for Czechia and put up a goal, 4 assists, 5 points, was very effective in those 7 games for Czechia. So, by all accounts, this guy is actually a pretty solid prospect, especially for a 5th round pick. Also carries some size with him at 6'3", $187 in terms of his weight. So, odds are he'll fill that frame out a little bit. But 6'3", very good, especially with the fact that he can play center, does primarily play center, I believe. If not, he can play on the wings. That's just fine. But it seems like Calgary actually got a pretty decent prospect in Caron, and who knows, maybe in the AHL next year or whenever he makes the AHL, he gets some opportunity to grow his physical game, and by the time he gets an opportunity at the big club with Calgary, that may be when they start to be competitive again. If not, he could be a good young piece for the Flames and the rebuild. So overall, I actually think the Flames did a very solid job in terms of getting a good package back for Kadri, who is a guy that can produce at a top level still at 35 years old and has term on that deal, and you're retaining salary for the remainder of that contract. I think the Flames and Craig Conroy and co. did a very good job in this package for Kadri. Now, I want to go over the lines super quick just so we all know kind of what they're like at this point. So the Flames, after this Kadri deal and also picking up Ryan Strome today from Anaheim, their lineup looks like this. So it looks like Olofsson will be penciled in as the second line right winger. Ryan Strome projected on that third line there, but At the end of the day, for the Flames, the lineup doesn't necessarily matter. You're trying to tank the rest of the year. You got rid of your top line center. Backlund moves up to the 1C. The lineup doesn't necessarily matter. You're trying to lose as many games as possible going for the rest of the season to improve your draft positioning. And, I mean, Olofsson, again, is a body. So, but the lineup that I really want to look at is the Colorado Avalanche, who at this time when I'm recording this, don't even have a lineup penciled in with Nazem Kadri a part of it. As of right now, with the Nicholas Waugh trade through from yesterday, their lineup looks like this. Landeskog, McKinnon, Nikish on the top line, Colton, Nelson, Nichushkin on that second line, Parker Kelly, Nicholas Waugh, Gavin Brindley on the third line, and Zakhar Bardakov, Jack Drury, and Joel Kiviranta on that fourth line. And this is already without Nazem Kadri, who they acquired, and without Arturi Lehkonen, who's injured, and Logan O'Connor, who I don't know if he's going to come back this year or not. He did start skating about a month ago, but we're going to have to see. But already, even without Lehkonen, this forward group looked very, very good. And they looked pretty solid down the middle, 1 through 4, of Brock Nelson as the 2C behind McKinnon, Nicholas Waugh sliding into that third line spot, Jack Drury, who has actually had a very good year as the third line center for the Colorado Avalanche, now moving down to the fourth line spot. But then you add Kadri into this, it's a whole different ball game. So I actually went ahead and tried to attempt at making a lineup with Kadri in it. I'm assuming Kadri is going to play center, so I'm going to go over that. First line, nothing changed whatsoever. However, what I do have is Nelson moving to the wing, because I think while his face-off percentages are all right at 49 point something percent, so a little bit below 50%. I think Kadri is more fit to play that center spot, so I put Kadri second line center. Nelson moves to the wing, and he played wing at the Olympics, if I'm not wrong. Nichushkin on the right wing of that second line, but that top six is just unreal. And then you add on Lehkonen when he's healthy to that third line right wing spot with Nicholas Waugh and Ross Colton. So that top 9 just really, really good. You get a shutdown line of sorts with Waugh, Lehkonen, and Colton. And that fourth line, Parker Kelly, who has played well for the Avalanche, I believe like 20-something points this year in bottom 6 minutes. Very, very solid. With Jack Drury, who, like I said before, very good year as the 3C for Colorado. And Gavin Brindley. You could either go Brindley or Kiviranta on that fourth line right wing spot. I went with Brindley because I think he's looked a little bit better in that spot. I don't see any lineup even coming close to this. You could maybe make an argument for teams like Minnesota or Dallas when they're fully healthy. But Minnesota, down the middle, they struggle because Joel Eriksson Ek is fine, but I don't think he's a 1C, at least for a cup contending or cup winning team. The Stars are pretty solid up front, and their defense is fine, but I don't think they made enough moves to keep up with what the Avalanche did. The Avalanche were already the best team in the NHL this year, arguably with Tampa Bay, and they have just upgraded themselves so much more than anyone else in their conference, anyone else in their division. Tampa didn't really do much today. I think they have established themselves as the team to beat heading into the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's not even close, in my opinion. Now, for teams that win the President's Trophy or are the team to beat heading into the playoffs, sometimes that doesn't bode well for them. But I think if there's any team in recent memory that has won the President's Trophy and can potentially break the curse, I think this is as close as you're going to get to a team that can and might very well do it. So yeah, overall, I think both teams kind of win in this deal. I think Calgary gets a good jumping off point for their rebuild and getting good future assets in this trade and trading out a guy that was not going to help them be getting into a better draft position going forward or anything like that. And then for the Avalanche, they reacquire a guy who they know, a guy who can play that second line center spot or at least be somewhere in that top 6, can contribute right away. You have cost certainty for a while. You have him to a good cap hit when the cap is going up. I think both teams win in this trade. I think Colorado, though, they just look unreal, and just I don't think any team is even close to what Colorado is on paper. Execution-wise, could be a different story, but at least on paper, after this deadline, it's tough to argue that Colorado didn't win the deadline and are the scariest team in the NHL heading into this year's playoffs. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. Do you like this trade for either team, Colorado or Calgary? And what do you see the Colorado Avalanche doing in the playoffs this year? Do you see them as the Cup favorite at this point after this deal? Let me know what you guys think, but that is it for this video. I did hope you enjoyed. If you did, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you are new around here. I will have a podcast coming out either later tonight or sometime tomorrow, grading every single trade from the trade deadline, so stay tuned for that. But thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Peace out.